That's right, you press the button to stop it from talking, right? So I was looking. I got it.
You can either fold it in to talk.
Right. Right. That's why it's on because I'm chairing. That's why. So, okay.
I got him in Egypt. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we good to start, Courtney? All right, so it's my first go, so forgive me here. So I guess, what do I read, Martin? The call to order?
Yes.
No, it's already on, so, yeah, for me it's on. All right, call to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-10, and the regulations governing remote meetings, NJAC 539-1.5. I hereby announce that adequate notice and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in a notice dated January 24th, 2023, and that was sent to the Albany Park Press, to River Times, posted on the bulletin board and on the main access door to Town Hall, filed in the clerk's office, and posted on the township's website, www.holmdeltownship.com. You do the roll call?
Okay. Don Aquiliano. Don Aquiliano is absent. Jeff Ackerson. Jeff Ackerson is absent. Kim LaMountain.
Here.
Wes Fagan.
Here.
Bill Castning.
Here.
Ron Emma.
Here.
Tom King.
Here.
Joyce Pelosis. Joyce Pelosis is absent. Scott Silberman.
Here.
Samantha Polavina. Samantha Polavina is absent. Christy O'Connor.
Here.
Okay, at this time, we stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, please remain standing while we have a moment of silence to honor our military, police, and our first responders. Thank you. Be seated. All right. Checking my notes here. All right, so we're here to discuss, we have a public hearing, item number 1, which is noted as PB 2023-B, Swing Loose LLC, 101 Crawfords Corner Road, Block 11, Lot 3807, preliminary and final site plan approval. The applicant seeks preliminary and final major site plan approval to memorialize Phase 1, consisting of the existing 27 hitting mats, and permit the development of an additional 7 hitting mats to the existing conditions at the property. I believe at this time, Mr. Bruno's here.
Yes,
And
thank you.
you have the floor.
Thank you. Michael Bruno here on behalf of the applicant Swing Loose LLC. As the board may recall, we were here in May, and the board asked for additional information, additional submission items, a complete checklist, all of which we undertook and resubmitted in June. So I think we have a complete application at this time. So it's a continuation of a site plan application to allow the seasonal golf range in the rear lot of the Bellworks redevelopment property. With me this evening is Len Savino, the civil engineer who's prepared the site plan before you. Peter Myers from Swing Loose is also here to talk about operational issues that may be of concern of the board that you raised at the last meeting. But if I could, I'd like to have Mr. Savino sworn at this time and go through the site plan as to how the site's going to operate, some of the additional features that we've added to the plan per the requests of the board at the last meeting, and present this to you this evening for action. Lenny?
Sure. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
For the record, if our professionals can be sworn in, Pete, you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
Okay, for the record, everyone's been sworn in, and if Mr. Myers testifies, he's already been sworn in. So.
He's been sworn, yes. All right, Lenny, why don't we identify the exhibits we're going to
Do a
refer
CV
to?
quick, if you would, Mike.
Pardon?
Just do a CV quick for the board.
Sure. Your education
Certainly.
licenses.
I am a principal with Langen Engineering and Environmental Services. I'm a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. My license is current. I have a Bachelor's of Science and a Master's of Science in Civil Engineering from New Jersey Institute of Technology. And I have testified before many boards, including this board, in the past.
I'd offer Mr. Savino as an expert in civil engineering.
Unless there's any objection.
Yeah, does anyone have any objections to that? No? So you may proceed.
Okay. Lenny, why don't we identify the exhibits that you have this evening that you're going to refer to? Let's identify the property, and then we can talk about the operations that we're
Certainly.
looking for.
So I have mounted the entire application package that has been submitted. In addition to that, we have one additional exhibit, which is an actual photo looking from the side out to the signage that we've placed for traffic control. So that is really the only other exhibit. I'm not sure what you want to call that exhibit.
So these are exactly what we submitted to them,
Correct?
so we just need to mark the other one as A1.
Okay, so A1 will be, when I get to that, I'll call that A1.
The photo?
No, I thought we had one exhibit marked on one.
Oh, we did.
Ooh, that could have
Maybe
been,
we'll check for you then.
Yeah, I have A1 and A2.
Okay.
So this is the revised site plan and resubmission,
Why
so
don't we just mark it then as A3? Just
let's do that.
okay.
You want to just physically mark those? Or you want me-
You can do that. I gotta be up there.
Yeah.
And we'll A4 will be the photo and get to it.
Very good.
Lenny, the site plan that we're referring to this evening, you prepared it? Or
Yes.
going in this direction?
Yep.
Okay. So why don't we identify the site, and then we can talk about the site plan itself and how the operations will be conducted.
Certainly. So the subject parcel is Block 11, Lot 38.07, which is 100.54 acres. That lot was created as part of a subdivision that was previously submitted and approved. The subject area of the site was previously unoccupied with the exception of a baseball diamond, backstop and related gravel driveway and parking area, and also a fenced enclosed antenna tower. Currently, there are 27 driving mats, a storage container, an expanded parking area, gravel parking area, and also a porta-john that are on the site. Access from the site is off of the outer ring roadway and will continue to be from the driveway that existed prior to the applicants setting up their driving mats. The grades at the site generally range from elevation at 110 to about 114. In general, they slope away from the road, come up a little bit, and then go back down towards the two flanking streams on either side of the site, pretty far away actually. But majority of the site, and certainly where the applicant is proposing to continue their operations, is an open grass area. And they're not intending to move into the tree area at all, and they have not been, and they will not do that for any part of this phase or the next phase. Stormwater generally follows that grade and just flows out to the two streams that flank on either side. So essentially, the only proposed improvements are to add 7 more mats. So in addition to the 27, there will be 7 more mats, totaling 34. And what we're showing on our site plan are the addition of 4 traffic control signs that were discussed at the previous meeting and suggested. It's a good suggestion. On our plan that was submitted to the board, those 4 signs are a do not enter, a keep right, a stop sign, and a one-way, 2 on the way in, 2 on the way out. But I would like to note that at the site right now, we changed the signage a little bit. It functions a little bit better the way they are put out there. So essentially, we still have the do not enter, but we shifted it over. I'm going to show you that in a photo in a moment. There's no left turn sign, so when you come out and actually stop at the stop sign, you'll be aware that there's no left turn, just to remind you that you came in that way and it's one way. And then there's a one-way sign that was then added right in your line of sight, so as you pull up and stop, you're getting hit by 2 signs that are telling you don't make a left turn, essentially. So Essentially, those are the only improvements that have been added or will be added. The signs have been added, and the 7 mats are proposed. If you'd like, I can show you a photo, which would be Exhibit
Yeah,
A4.
let's show the actual property on the
Okay.
site plan, and you can identify those environmental features that we've added to the plan.
Okay. So this is your cover sheet, so it's showing you vicinity-wise where the site is located. That's in the package. Just to orient you, it's a pretty large site. Our portion of this rather large site, created as part of the subdivision that I mentioned, is 3807, lot 3807. This is 100.54 acres. The subject area of the actual activities is really right around here. That's essentially it. So it's a pretty small area when you consider the 100 acres. It's probably about 15 acres plus or minus. This is actually a blow-up to give you an idea of what that area looks like. And as Mr. Bruno had requested, the setback and the buffer line is shown so that the shaded area is essentially an area that can be developed at some point in the future, or even with these mats, and they are not encroaching in the setbacks from the environmentally sensitive areas, which is a wetland on either side and also a stream on either side. It's probably a good idea just to bring that plan up also, which is part of your package. It's part of the original package and has not changed. It's the environmentally sensitive areas map. This is now rotated a little bit, so if you can just orient yourself, the other plan was straight up. But these are essentially in different colors, those environmentally sensitive areas, the 2 that I mentioned related to stream and wetland, but also there's a few steep slopes. Our area that we are focusing in on is right here. As I mentioned, a very small, it looks even smaller here now, about 15 acres open area.
Thank you.
So, just to give you an idea of what it looks like when you're leaving the site, which is, was a question that came up in our last discussion just about safety.
This A4?
This
Yes.
will be A4, right? Thank you very much. And
And these are photos taken by...
just one photo, yep, taken
By
today
Swing
by
Loose.
the applicant.
Okay.
I just went out and also took a look just to make sure it functioned as we thought it would. So,
Like when, approximately, when you ask your applicant when you...
Two things today.
Today.
oh, do you need the mic or?
It would be helpful. I'm sorry. Here, also, here's a sticker for you. Also, I just want to, we didn't see Christie,
Oh,
so just for the record, I guess we can see her for Jeff Epperson.
So just to orient you, so after entering the site and then leaving, the question came up about safety, how folks, could they get disoriented coming out, and adding some signage would be a positive thing. So we did that. On the plan, this is the correction. The do not enter was on the left originally, and we shifted it over to this location. When you're actually driving out, you kind of feel like you're going to the right anyway, so this is probably more appropriate, and it definitely feels like that when you're in your car. As I mentioned before, we have the no left turn. Across the way, when you actually approach the stop sign, which is right here, on the other side of the road is the one-way. So as you approach, you get in a sense from these 2 alone that you need to be going right. So it's
Lenny, when those were installed, that was in consultation with Holmdel Traffic Safety.
yeah, that's
Officer,
correct. From what I understand, the traffic safety officer Minosky, he was actually out there and took a look at it, and he said it was good. So we intend then to submit a revised plan that will reflect the shifting of the signs. Other than that, there really shouldn't be any changes.
Okay. And the location of the 7 additional mats, you just identify that for the board. So as we stated at the last meeting, the site has been operating under a seasonal permit for the last 2 seasons. We're looking now to make it a permanent seasonal operation, and that's the purpose of this site plan, to memorialize this. We did talk about a phase 2, which is in the future, and we'll be back for that. We're not presenting that tonight. Tonight is just the phase 1, which is the current operations plus the 7 mats that we'd like to add.
Obviously, Bell Works was okay with the 4 signs where you put them?
I have not
The owner
spoken
of
to
the
the
property?
Bellworks folks, but I would expect they would be,
Yes.
yes. So,
So, yes,
yes.
Yes.
Zucker has signed off on the placement
Yes.
of the signs.
Yes.
Thank you.
So this is actually even further blown up of really the area where the driving mats are. As I mentioned, it's a pretty small area. So from this portion of the site down is that 15 acres plus or minus that I had mentioned. All open lawn. So in this case, you can see here which is on the package. I'm referring to the site plan phase 1, which is drawing CS101, in which you can see there's a call out for a gravel base or 20 mats, and those are to the left side of the sheet. There's actually 7 here, and they're identified with just a dashed line wrapping around in a long rectangular shape. And then to the right of that is a solid line unscreened, which are the proposed additional 7 mats, essentially. A few other things that I did not mention that are out here. We do also have a shipping container with storage of just some materials that they need to operate, and there is a porta-john on the site. We did expand the parking lot a little bit. It's still gravel, and it's not created a disturbance more than 5,000 square feet. It's about 3,000 square feet total. So there was a gravel. I mean, this whole driveway right here was gravel all the way back. You can see it's still called out on the existing conditions. It used to go back to the backstop for baseball in the back with a very small gravel parking area here. We just kind of shaped it up a little bit so it functions better. And that will remain. So again, the only thing we're adding from what you see out there is the 7 mats.
You know, one thing I saw on your paperwork, I think it said something about a fire pit. Is there a fire pit?
Yeah, there is a small fire pit there. The operation of that, and I'm not sure if you're even going to keep that. I think the applicant is considering whether to even leave that or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time. I don't recall seeing that. I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue. I know it's trees, and I don't know what precautions, if anything, if something happens with the fire pit, or who operates. Is it gas? Is it wood?
Is that an existing condition that's already there?
It's there now.
Okay, so it was like maybe like from the baseball field.
I'm not sure if it was from the baseball fields. I think perhaps a swing loose representative may be able to provide some insight into that. The timing of that.
Based on its location, probably goes with the
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd need a little more information on that. Like, is it a wood-burning fireplace, or is it a gas? Yeah, whoever knows.
Yeah, we'll bring the applicant up to
Oh.
address these operational
Oh, okay,
issues.
all right.
This is the first I'm hearing about the fire pit myself,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
And Lenny, you've had a chance to review the planning board engineer
Yes, I
review
have.
letter that was updated in July. And I don't think there's any additional comments that you need to make on, you covered the signage,
Disturbance less than 5,000 square feet.
right. So unless you have other issues you'd like us to address, I think we can move on to the applicant.
The other thing I want to go through is there were 6 waiver requests that the applicant made as they were filling out the checklist. And I'll just go through them real quickly. Percolation and soil log information, environmental impact report, landscaped area in square feet as a percentage of the tract, existing and proposed streets, dimensions of different sections, environmental impact report, again, because it shows up twice in the checklist, and energy savings and cost reduction analysis. Given the nature of the application, we have no objection to those waivers and we defer to the board for any discussion. Certainly, if you wanted that information later on, you have the right to request it.
Right, that's just a waiver for this seasonal application, not
Correct.
their phase
That's
2,
correct.
right?
And we made an effort to address the environmental concerns by providing the constraints map that's before you. So although we didn't provide a brand new impact report, we did provide the constraints map so you can see that we're outside of the areas of concern, the environmental sensitive areas.
I have some questions. The antenna tower that's there, who owns that?
That is not, that would be part of Bellworks. That's been there for many years, and is not something that the applicant
So it's not a weather
needs.
station, it has nothing to do with this
Yeah,
application?
there's no impacts to what Swing Loose will be doing here and has been doing.
You mentioned it's a seasonal seasonal operation. Our winters have been getting warmer and warmer. So is there going to be certain dates of opening and closing, or is it just as you feel?
Yeah, we'll have the applicant try to address that. I think probably is some demand in the wintertime, so we'll address how we get a string of nice days in December, how that might be handled.
I'm not familiar with the temporary permit that was initially issued on it. So I'm wondering if then or if now you need to talk about things like yardage markers. They're large yellow markers that'll tell you how far you hit the ball. There are red, white, and blue flags. There is a green fence on the right-hand side of the field. So how did they come into existence? Are they permitted? Can you put them where you want? And as many as you want.
If we want to ask, we can answer from our side, from the township's perspective, on the temporary permit.
Yes.
Last summer, when Swing Loose, who operates an indoor facility in Bellworks, came up with this idea, and they got permission to use this tract of land, they were given a seasonal special events permit by the police department. And that actually, that goes into, a lot of detail with safety, things like that. So anything that was there legally. And so this year they got that as well, and then they came to the board to add the other mats. They then went back and amended their special events permit, but everything that's on the site, where the use is there by permission of the township right now. With regards to, like the accessory kind of structures, the accessory like flags and stuff like that are part of this. This is a permitted use. This is something I was going to bring up in relation to something else, but this is a permitted use in this in the Bellworks redevelopment plan, which maybe not particularly a driving range at the time, but it envisioned using some of the space for outdoor recreation. So in my opinion, as long as they're staying within their scope of work area, anything that's related to the that would be considered accessory to the use as a driving range.
And what is the need for 7 additional mats?
Well, we'll let the applicant respond to that.
Okay, so
also.
you will not talk about that. Okay. In looking at CS 100.
The overall site plan? Yes. Let me pull that back up.
So in looking at this, on the left-hand side, I'm looking at the existing mats and I'm looking at the sand trap, and those appear to be in the 300-foot buffer. So would they be permitted within the 300-foot buffer?
Yeah, there's actually a permitted use. Here you can actually construct structures,
Yes.
and here you can you can provide improvements that are pervious. So it'll be other lawn features, and even a sand pit like that, or some kind of little sand trap. And the mats themselves are permeable. So in both cases, they are permitted in this zone right here.
Okay. It more has to do with probably the guy that's operating it. Signage. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board have any other questions for these gentlemen? No? Okay, I guess.
Just really quickly, and with the shipping container, is that just going to stay out there year round, or what's the plan for that?
I think that the Swing Loose representative can
Okay,
probably
that's a
speak to
question for
that.
them?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
probably
Okay, I wasn't
can speak to
sure.
that
Okay. Just
more
wondering.
clearly.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions of?
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much, and I guess if Swing Loose like to get up and answer some of these other questions.
Right.
That'd be
I'm going to
great.
introduce Peter Myers, Principal of Swing Loose. Let me come up, Peter. Oh, you can sit down with me. All right, why don't you identify yourself and your relationship with the applicant?
Sure. Peter Myers. I am one of the co-founders of Swing Loose Indoor Golf, which we started in February of 2020. And as we mentioned, we asked Ralph Zucker if we could open an outdoor range. He agreed, and here we are.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your operations. Seasonal, and what months you plan to be open, and then your hours of operation and number of days per week that you are open.
Sure. So we opened last August on a test basis. We opened at 9 a.m. and closed at dusk. And because it was a relatively mild November, we stayed open till I think the last sale was November 15th, and we closed for the winter. We reopened March 26th of this year. Given how mild it was, we probably could have stayed open all winter. I don't think we had 1 inch of snow. But that's the plan, is to be open from once the spring allows, March, Aprilish, until winter kicks in.
Okay. And the number of days that you operate?
7 days a week,
Your hours of operation?
9 a.m. to dusk.
So there's no lights out there or anything of that nature?
There are no lights out there.
Okay. No plans for lights as part of phase one?
Correct.
Okay. How many employees do you have out there during the day?
1 to 2, depending on the time of day.
Okay. What are their responsibilities?
So the responsibilities are to greet the customers and tender the transaction. So we just sell 4 different sizes of buckets of balls.
Okay. And the shipping container that we heard about, what is that all about?
It's a temporary structure to allow us to put our supplies in at nighttime. It locks up. It's hard to break into. And then for the winter months, we put all the mats and everything in there.
So you plan on leaving that there for the permanent?
Yeah. I mean,
Until phase 2, not...
until phase 2.
Yeah.
Until phase two. Let's talk about the number of customers you're generally seeing and what the dispersion of those customers are throughout the day.
So probably around 15 an hour, about 140-ish a day right now. We open at 9. I'd say it's starts kicking off where people come more frequently 10, 11 a.m., and it's pretty steady with peaks probably around 5, 6 o'clock hour, people coming after work. It's relatively steady all day.
And parking, how does everybody park when they come to the site?
So most people park in that expanded gravel area that we have, and that's been more than adequate. Many people are there, depending on the size buckets of balls, you're only there 10 minutes to half an hour. So you're not there very long. There's no food or beverage, there's no entertainment, so you're just hitting balls and leaving. So that driveway is working out great. If there are times when no one can fit, they park in the Bellworks parking lot and walk across.
And I also understand some people walk across from the building. They're in the building.
They do. It's rare, I'd say, because unfortunately not a lot of people in the building golf.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people come from Holmdel Township. The community's really happy with it.
Questions?
Okay, Ken.
So with these additional mats, do you have to install any additional netting or anything in order to keep the balls from going outside of your area?
No, so there's no netting at all, and that's it's such a wonderful plot of land. It's so wide, and you're surrounded by trees in the background, and it's just a beautiful, quiet environment. You know, if you've ever been to Topgolf in Edison, it's quite different. It's loud, cars and whatnot. So we don't have any nets, and the area where we'd like to put the other additional 7, it's going more left. There's plenty of room. No nets needed.
And you're able to pick up the balls with the machine that you have?
So we have a tractor that attached to the tractor is the ball picker, and we run that throughout the day.
And
then,
if there are some crazy hitters, shanking it, slicing it, whatever, do you go into the sensitive areas with a hand?
correct,
So you picked up the balls in sensitive areas by hand?
correct.
Is that all? Does that happen often?
We do a sweep.
Pardon?
We do a sweep once a week.
Where's the tractor stored?
It is stored, so, you know where the old building is that used to be where they built all the furniture and whatnot for Bellworks back there?
Just to the west of the site.
It's not on the site plan?
It's-
It actually is. It's not part of the site, but
So there's some buildings back here, and we store it.
And I assume you have permission from
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Doesn't drive on the, just drives directly to this, like on the grass, or does it go through the?
No, we go through, we use the road.
You go the right way, though. You go one direction all around.
Sure.
That's funny. Wes, you want to ask some of those questions?
Bellworks has been to us for various reasons. One of them is additional signage. I'm wondering, how do you promote both the indoor and or the outdoor range?
So it's primarily word of mouth. We've been operating the indoor facility for 3 years now. So we do have a list of emails, and we send out a monthly newsletter. So that was our first notification to the existing clientele of our indoor business. And then we did, I think we did a few ads on the patch.com, and we did some Instagram and Facebook posts.
where are most of your customers coming from?
Holmdel, Middletown, surrounding areas, but mostly Holmdel.
Initially, we asked why the 7 mats were needed, additional 7 mats.
Just volume.
So there may be times when it's full.
Oh yeah. Particularly at those peak times after work.
I visited the area twice at least, and I noticed where you're going to put the mats, that drops off somewhat, it seems to me. Are you going to require grading?
I think we'll be able to fit 3 there without the grading, and then there's that area where between where those 7 mats are and the other 20, and we may not even get all 7 in. But we don't plan to do grading, we just want to use what's there.
So you're going to fit in whatever you can in that area that's sort of
That's
level?
flat, yeah. If grading needs to be done, do we have to do anything?
Well, it depends how much grading is needed to be done, but yes.
So we come to the board and ask for permission for that?
Well, typically you'd like to do it now and get it done with, right?
Yeah.
In terms of your inside business, that is the existing business in Bellworks, I didn't have benefit of the last meeting, I just heard testimony, but
Sure.
could you tell me about how you generate traffic, not how you generate it, but how is the traffic inside of Bellworks itself?
It's been great. So we opened February of 2020, a month before COVID hit, which really put a damper on us starting a new business. One of the benefits of COVID is that it really increased the popularity in the game of golf. It was one of the few things you could do once they let you ride on a cart together. If you remember, they made everyone ride in separate carts in the beginning. And I think another benefit to the golf industry, indoor, off-course golf industry, is the popularity of Topgolf. It's just skyrocketed over the past few years. So being able to hit a real golf ball with a full swing indoors and combine that with the technology, it feels really real, and people really enjoy it. So it's been going really well. It's quite seasonal, though. You know, we're very busy in November through March indoors, very busy. We started with 4 bays. Year 1, year 2, we added a 5th. After year 2, we added a 6th, and then beginning of our 4th year, this year, we added 3 more. So we've expanded to a new suite within Bellworks. So now we have 2 units and 9 golf bays.
So over this few years, you've expanded your indoor presence.
Correct.
And do you generate business for other businesses inside of Bellworks itself?
We'd like to think so.
Well, I saw your website, and it talked about catering from other venues inside.
Correct. So Mezzaluna helps out with catering. The Bell Market helps out with catering. We just had an event there today with CDW, one of the tenants in the building, and they got their food and beverages from Bell Market. So we like to think we're responsible for a lot of external foot traffic into the building as well.
Yeah, Wes, I'd like to just keep the questions really about the outside mat, not necessarily indoor facility, but more about the application, if we can.
I was at the site today, and I saw the type of golfer you're talking about, probably the type of golfer I am, and that ball that goes like that. And there was a guy there just every time, out toward the green plastic fencing you have on the right-hand side, he was going over it. So you're saying that you collect those balls, you go into the woods.
Correct.
If you didn't find one, how long would it take a golf ball to degrade?
Don't know the answer to that. A long
The
time.
internet tells me 100 to 1,000 years.
I was going to say it may never.
So I hope you find them all.
Yeah.
So in this plan, I would have liked to seen something that tells us about the radius of 100, 200, 300 yards. Right, PGA player can hit it 300 yards. I saw a guy there today. I swear he was hitting it 300 yards straight. Most golfers don't and can't. So it would have been helpful to me to see on this particular plan a radius of 100, 200, 300 yards to give us an idea of where the balls actually can wind up. And that would be helpful.
Can you put your scale on there? Put your...
I mean, the thing is, the original bays have been approved. It's really 7, so that's not really going to change too much, I don't think. The radius or the flight path of the ball's too much, so...
My point is they're winding up in the stream, and that's...
Chairman, just to clarify that, this board has not approved.
No, I said the seasonal one, that's right.
Yes, and I think they have actually approved the 7 as well. After
Right.
after the last meeting, the applicant returned to them to do that. So, and they do look at safety and everything when they
Right.
give those seasonal permits. So so that has all been reviewed by the police and, the seasonal permit.
Right, that's basically what I was trying to say, is that
Yes.
the addition of the other mats is not changing the original opinion on the use of the space or the golf balls or how far they're traveling or things of that
Exactly,
nature.
and yes, it's already
Right.
been seasonally approved.
Mr. Chairman, we have to tweak this plan to show the actual locations of the signs that we propose. We'd be happy to put, the lines 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards on the plan if that's important to the board. That's an easy do for us.
Well,
So we'll have that as part of the site plan.
I will say, to Wes's point, because I do play golf, and there are a lot of golf courses that do have environmental hazards, to say, or environmental areas where balls will get hit all the time, and they're left there. In fact, you're not supposed to even walk in there to get the ball, technically. But if there are streams that are impacted by this, will you guys have people going in the streams? I know some places have divers that go in there, to collect some of those balls, so that's really far away,
We
right?
don't anticipate anything in the stream.
Okay.
What we're talking about is a ball going into the buffer area.
Okay.
You go in with a hand, what do they call it?
It's a shag bag or something,
Shag
right?
bag.
Yeah.
And pick them up.
Right. Okay.
How did you folks come up with the calculation for the number of additional mats that you need, out of curiosity? It just seems like a very odd number. Is it just based upon the amount of space you have left, or
was
it just that have you been that busy that the existing mats you have are not enough?
So there wasn't a tremendous amount of science behind it, really. It was really based on eyeballing how much space we had. And there are times when people are waiting.
So the demand,
Yeah, it's really driven by demand.
Yeah,
But
there's no guidelines that talk about clear distances between mats and things like that I'm right? There is nothing like that.
Right, we don't want them too close. We don't want anyone getting
So that's
hurt.
it's really going about how, if they can whack someone or not next to them, so. Right? Okay.
before we move, regarding the permit and the seasonalness of it, I'm not quite sure. Are we leaving it up to the client to decide when he's opening and closing in terms of dates?
Well, that's actually was on my list too. When I hear the word seasonal, and I'm green to this, so I don't know what that means. Does that mean all year? Is there a time frame that's seasonal, or?
Well, the permit's seasonal. We're here today to ask for a permanent site plan.
Okay.
And the operation would be open at the,
For this to be
operation-
full-time, right?
Well,
Correct.
It's unlikely to be full-time because of the weather, but if the
Well-
weather permitted, it would be full-time.
Okay. Well, yeah. So sometimes with these bays, the weather gets close, so I know some facilities like to use heaters or things of that nature. We're not planning on using heaters,
Not in Phase 1.
not in Phase 1.
Phase
about
1
Phase
is as basic as it gets, just hitting off the mats.
What about Phase 2? You mentioned lights. I mean, I know it's not part of this application, but are you planning on lights in Phase 2?
Very dim lights.
Send that to us so we can see the time.
Can you say that again?
Very dim lights.
Very dim lights. And what about the shipping container? Will that be taken out because it's temporary and a storage shed?
Correct.
Would be part of Phase 2?
Phase 2 would be, will be, the plans are a two-story structure.
That's what I'm getting at. What are the, if you could just enlighten us on Phase 2?
Just so it's clear, that's not on the table. Okay. So what you're approving is.
We could show you after some
temporary
pictures.
storage container
Yeah, I don't think you want to put anything on the record at this
We
point.
have some concept.
Fair enough.
So after this meeting's over, we're happy to
Yeah,
have you take a look at it.
we love talking about it.
Okay, well, okay, Kristen.
Just curious, do you have power out there?
There is an electrical outlet in the weather vane area.
You're not using a machine. Your employees fill the buckets? You don't have one of those machines out there, right?
So it's both. We do have a dispenser and the human element as well.
Do you have clubs, or you have to bring your own?
So we do have clubs for rent.
All right, well, okay, I just got a few little things. I want to go back to that little fire pit thing,
Sure.
all right? Because the only
I'll tell you the history of it.
Well, I don't know if you could share it. I
Why?
don't really care with the history. I just want to move moving forward. Do you guys have intentions of using it? Is it just an ornamental pit, or is it really going to be ignited?
The history was, we ran a fundraiser for St. Mary's School in the October of last year. It was cold. So we used it once. It was wood.
Okay.
Do we plan to use it again? If the board doesn't want us to, we won't.
I mean, do they need permits to light fires? I don't know how that works.
We did have the...
You did have the fire department?
Yes, they were aware of it. They knew we were doing it.
Okay.
They were aware. They were notified.
Other little things, security. Do you guys have security there?
No,
No.
not our own security.
Okay, just wasn't sure if there was any wired alarms or things like that that might go off at
We have,
3 in the
I
morning.
thought you meant like human being security.
No,
So we
like
have,
actual
we have
security.
cameras.
You have just camera, okay. Let's see. And we said there's no trails in the area, right? There's the buffer zone, no one's in risk of getting hit if they're walking their poodle or something like that, of getting...
So there's a
strayed
trail in the woods.
But it's outside there, let's call it what's the right term?
It's,
The
well-
impact zone?
it's far out there.
It's far out there.
It's
Okay,
protected by the trees.
okay. Yeah.
And of course, you have liability insurance, but I'm sure you have liability insurance, but do you hold Bellworks harmless?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure you would. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a couple more. So on the special events, you've got event dates from March 15th to December 31st. Is that what you want, or do you want 12 months?
The goal is to memorialize what we've done and have it be a permanent operation. So that date was just picked to go through the end of the year.
So you're asking in this phase 1 to be able to operate 12 months?
Year-round, weather permitting, yes.
I was surprised initially to see that this is actually a separate lot from the major Bellworks building. So you're, as like a subtenant, you're renting that lot from them. Can that lot be sold? Can you, if you had enough, if you win the lotto, whenever the hell that is, can you buy that?
We asked, and he said no.
So,
He did not want to sell.
well, he didn't want to sell, but, so it could be sold.
Yeah, all right, so yeah.
Okay.
I suppose it could be sold, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Okay, any further questions from anyone?
I have two quick,
Yeah,
just two
yeah.
quick questions. Just regarding, so is the site plan shows wooden pallets, have those been removed? Or
Yes.
will they- Okay, that's what I thought. And then the second is, I know, so when we began this application, we stated it was seasonal, but it's not necessarily going to be seasonal. So, I would just to answer the chair's question, that's up to the board, this is a permitted use, but, it's up to the board to determine if you think that that's appropriate. But still, however, at this stage, this phase, there are no permanent structures on the site, right?
There's no permanent structures.
Yes, and everything is able to be
Temporary.
moved away for bad weather. That's yes, because it's like a porta potty. It's the mats are very movable, and then the storage container. So okay, and I guess the only permanent structures you're putting in are the signs, but that's
Yeah,
the
there's a
different.
birdhouse there.
Well, existing.
Yeah,
But it's a permanent structure.
Yes, no new permanent structure. So okay, just wanted to clarify that. It's still
I think the redevelopment plan states the driving range is permitted specifically, I
Oh,
think.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. This section.
I know it's a golf course, too.
Yeah, this section of the property was always, was particularly envisioned because of the nature of the awkward shape of it, but it's the way it's isolated. It was envisioned from the start for, recreational, outdoor
It's
recreational
a beautiful,
uses.
beautiful plot of land.
So, yeah, this is particularly specifically permitted here. Obviously, that's why it's before the planning board. The other thing I would note is that, the way, for various reasons, the way that the redevelopment plan for Bellworks was written requires pretty much anything to come before the board for a site plan review. So even something like this, which, I'm not sure, but I think it may have been exempt under regular standards of the zoning. Bellworks, you want to make sure that, you always have an idea of what's going on there. So that's why they're before the board, and that's why that's required for the whole preliminary and final, even though there's no variances or anything like that.
Okay, thank
What
you,
are the
Kate.
terms of your lease?
It's for the outdoor range?
Yeah.
It is a leasing agreement, actually, not a leasing agreement. It's a licensing agreement, actually.
License?
Yes, and it's, you're asking how much we pay?
No, I don't care. I mean, what's the term, the length?
It was just because of the temporary nature of our permit. It's in line with that, so it's good right now through the end of the year, through December 31st, in line with the permit.
Okay, a licensing agreement has an end date to it, and you're saying this December, and then you'll renew it?
Yes, Bellworks is aware that we're doing this, talking to you all, hopeful to make it a permanent situation, and then we will continue it. The new agreement.
So it's a licensing agreement that Bellworks participates in the profits.
They get a percentage of the sales.
Ryan, that doesn't mean it's a percentage. It's just basically a temporary lease, for lack of a better description. Because it was a special permit that was only good for the year, they're not going to lease them the property for 5 years. They didn't have the permits. I'm sure there'll be a permanent lease, a permanent license, something like down the road.
Yep. That's our hope.
We'll be there.
Okay, if no one else has any further questions, I guess we ask for a public comment, right? If there's anyone.
Public questions first, and then public comment.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, just a question and then one point. That special events permit says the event time is daily 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., which led to the question about lighting. You've obviously testified you're only open till dusk, no lighting, so I just wanted to confirm that. And also, just to let the board know, the signs that were installed, the traffic control signs, are consistent with the rest of that ring road. So they blend right in from a signage perspective. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
okay. What do you say, Marty? Public
So,
questions?
Just for my resolution, I thought I heard you say 9 a.m. to dusk, but the special permit's 8. Is it going to be 9 or 8, just so we can put it in the resolution?
Actually, he said 11. I think
Oh, he
you said
said
11.
8.
8 a.m.
But you
to
said
11.
at dusk, yeah.
Oh, you're saying in the morning, it's
I just
open
want
at
to
8?
put the
Yeah.
hours, make sure we're on the same page, so. I
It-
thought I heard going forward 9 AM to dusk, is that accurate, or?
That's how we're operating today, yes.
Well, you're
Apologize.
No, not today, moving forward, I
You're
think
gonna
they
put
want
a
to know.
condition
Yeah.
in your hours of operation, so if you want to open earlier than 9, we should say it now.
Okay, sure, we could put 8.
And right now, you are 8, you're permitted by that permit, 8.
Yes, that's correct.
We'll ask for 8 to dusk, probably open at 9. Unless the demand is there.
Good now? All right. All right, public questions? Anyone from the public here have any questions for these gentlemen?
Public comments?
Public comments? Anyone? No?
Close the public portion.
All right, we are, what, you gotta make a motion?
No,
for
just
that?
say you're going to close the public portion.
All right, we're going to close the public portion of this meeting. And let me see here.
Just go to.
Call for a vote, it
Call
says,
for a
right?
motion or any discussion after
So, call for motion for what, to vote?
this. Motion to, well, either approve or deny.
Oh, call for a motion to approve the application?
I make that motion to approve.
Second.
Another question is, are there any comments or conditions that somebody wants to add?
Are there any comments or conditions that someone would like to add?
I'm sure
On
it's
this
not
one.
going to happen, but this is a condition that if you don't get the permanent lease or license agreement, would you remove your improvements and your accessory structures?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
So I need to amend my motion to make it conditioned on that.
Okay.
Well, the approval will run with the land, though. I mean, it's not a personal approval. It's the
Right.
land's approval.
But this applicant won't have, he has ownership of that, he won't have use of it, is what you're saying. I mean, he won't be able to operate.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine Bill West
I know,
wanting to
but
leave this stuff there.
It might happen, you know.
But the council's right, there will be an approval that runs with the land, so if another operator could come in theory.
Right.
And use that same approval to do the same thing.
Yeah, they would have to maintain the property in a clean sanitary condition and all that fun stuff, so. Right.
But the licenses and the agreement may go away, and then nobody
Yes.
has rights.
That's right. Now, the approval's still there, but no one would have the right to use it, obviously, until Bellworks gave someone else the right, although we've already done our job.
Right.
I'll
So-
let you.
So I don't think we need that, I mean, that's
Okay.
kind of a legal thing, I don't think we need that as a condition, but Mike, you want to chime in there, but you agree?
Yeah, I don't think we need it.
But we did have two conditions that you've agreed, that you've mentioned, you know, revise the plans to show the correct signage location as well as the yardage.
Yes, we're happy to do that.
Do we need to worry about a maximum occupancy? Like you had said you did a fundraiser or something for St. Mary's. Is there anything more that we should be concerned about? I don't know if it's a special permit, it is something that should become part of.
I don't think you have an occupancy limit for an outdoor space, yeah.
And they have the parking across, the main parking.
Well, I believe we said with the fire pit, that's on an as-needed basis, and anytime you're going to operate the pit, you're going to have fire department approval for that, correct?
We'll get a permit, yes.
Right, okay. Yeah, that wouldn't look good if that burned down the woods there. You know, that wouldn't fare well.
So that's the third condition.
Yeah.
So as amended, unless there's anything else, the motion as amended.
The motion is for approval based on the three conditions that were noted. Do I have someone?
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Castany?
Yes.
Mr. Emma?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
And Ms. O'Connor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Wasn't that Marty, is that it?
That's it, ask if there's any professional reports.
All right, are there any professional reports at this time? All right. Okay, so I guess at this time, we are, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Courtney, you keep these, or you have like a little cheat sheet? She gave you a little, she gave you a little.